guys! Today I'm going to talk about some of the reading statistics for 2016. I know we all want to forget about 2016 real fast, but when it comes to my personal reading, it has actually been a pretty amazing year, and so I want to talk about some statistics and stuff like that. I will leave the link to the spreadsheet that I use down below. I think most of the people already know it, but in case you don't, then I will definitely leave a link to the 2017 spreadsheet down below so you can use it as well. I love using it. I love looking at the summaries and the graphics and everything like that, and so since I'm kind of a nerd about that kind of stuff, I thought it would be fun to include some of these charts and graphics today and talk about my reading year 2016 as a whole. So in 2016, I read 75 books, 21,166 pages, which is an average of 58 pages per day, which that kind of blew me away. That's a lot. Out of these 75 books, 8 were graphic novels, 13 were novellas, 7 were plays, and 1 was an audiobook. While basically all of my stats are based on the spreadsheet that I just talked about, I do want to include this picture from Goodreads because it just makes me really happy. As I said, through my spreadsheet, I know that I read 21,166 pages, and Goodreads says I only read 20,991 pages. But I guess, you know, with like ebook pages, it kind of gets messed up a little bit. But I just kind of wanted to show it because this shows that not only was this the year that I read the most books, which I said included a lot of graphic novels, plays, and stuff like that, which are really short to read, but also was it the year that I read the most pages of any year ever. 2012 was the first year that I started actively using Goodreads, and then as you can also see, 2013 was the year that I joined BookTube, which is the year that I kind of read most until now, until 2016 came around and just kind of whoa. And I know for a fact that not in any year before 2012 have I read more pages than this. Like 2012 with like the 15 books I think I read that year was definitely the year until that point that I read the most pages or books. Like I don't think I've ever read 15 books in a year until 2012, and so 2016 has been, at least books and pages wise, the most successful reading year for me, and it just makes me really happy. It's so cool. It's just so cool. So now I want to look at some of the books per month statistics. As you can see, July was obviously the month that I read most, and if you haven't guessed it, it was because of the BookTube-a-thon. Very close to that is, as you can see, October with 10 books, and then February with 9 books, and the worst month for me right after the best month was August, where I only read 1 book. I find it really interesting to look at pages per month in comparison, because you can see that while July is still the biggest month with 3,259 pages, February was actually the one here that had more pages than October, and here you can see again that August was my weakest month with 333 pages, followed by April with 685 pages, and everything after that has more than 1,000 pages, which I already find an amazing amount to read in a month. And if you actually look at pages per day, I kind of realized that in August I still read 11 pages per day on average, which that's still really cool. On average, it takes me about 5 days to finish a book, and I find that really interesting because I feel like this really pinpoints the average time that I need for a book really well. So now let's look at some of the page lengths, and here you can see that most of the books that I read, which were 18 books in total, were between 300 and 399 pages. And as I said at the beginning, I read quite a lot of novellas and plays, and so the other like kind of biggest category is everything under 100 with a total of 16 books. But I was also really amazed to see that I read 3 books in the category from 600 to 699 pages. I honestly didn't expect that I had 3 books. Like I had to look up again which 3 books that were. That was actually Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare, Gemini by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which these 600 something pages are not worth actual 600 something pages, and Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor, which thanks to BookTube-a-thon I read in like a few days, so that's kind of cool. Now let's look at the star rating, and I am kind of a really tolerant rater, I guess. My average rating is 3.69 stars per book. There were 23 books this year that got 5 stars, but I do have to say that when it comes to novellas or graphic novels, it's a little bit easier to get 5 stars from me, and so I know for a fact that lots of these 5-star ratings are novellas or graphic novels. So I feel like there would probably be a lot less actual novels that got 5 stars this year. And then definitely one of my favorite statistics to look at is genres, because this is another one that definitely kind of reflects my reading a lot. And so as you can see, the biggest category is YA fantasy with 26.7%. That is really not a surprise. I love fantasy in general, especially YA fantasy. And so, you know, this was definitely obvious for me. And then also, as I said, a lot of novellas, that's 70.3%. Then 10.7% were graphic novels, which I found really amazing because while they are obviously easy to read and easy to get through, I only started reading graphic novels in October. So that was really interesting to me. Then 9.3% were plays, which that's also not very surprising because they're also easy to get through and they are part of my job. So and then we had 6.7% for YA dystopian, which also is not very surprising, although I think it was also because I reread The Hunger Games. And then also 6.7% for fiction, which fiction is kind of a category that is just all over the place for me. It's just kind of like books where I'm just not quite sure in what category to put them. But then let's compare that to the pages by genre, which is even more amazing. Obviously not surprising, 40.7% for YA fantasy. Most of the books I read were YA fantasy, and since most of them have quite a lot of pages, it wasn't very surprising to see that this is also the genre that kind of rules the pages category, but it still amazes me to see that it's almost half of the pages that I read in 2016. And there's like this huge drop, and the next category is 9% for YA sci-fi, which is basically thanks to Gemini and Illuminae. 8.3% for YA dystopian, so like YA is definitely ruling the pages by genre quite a lot. 7.7% is fiction, 7% is graphic novels, which is also not really a surprise as one page of a graphic novel takes you like a few seconds to read. Actually, what surprised me was that 4.5% were novellas. I mean, obviously I read a lot of novellas, I knew that, but that overall it added up to so many pages was really surprising for me to see. And then finally, I do want to look at authors. 64% of the authors that I read this year were female, 22.7% were male, and then 30.3% were both, which is mostly thanks to the graphic novels that I read this year. And these were my reading statistics for 2016. As I said, I'm just kind of a nerd for these kinds of things. I really love that. And the spreadsheet for 2017 looks amazing, even more advanced, even better. So I am definitely going to do another statistics videos at the end of next year. You can bet on it because it's fucking amazing. I love it. As I said, I'm gonna leave the link to the spreadsheet down below. You should definitely check it out because for me it's just a lot of fun to kind of fill it out throughout the year and then look at my statistics after like 2 months and then look again after 5 months, and oh my god, yeah, I'm nerding out. Thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon. Bye!